now.
Okay.
So sorry about that. For those of you just joining us, haha, we are realized a little bit into the discussion of the bylaws that we weren't recording. So now we are.
Okay. So basically, that's one of the reasons we want to be under the umbrella for protection, but also
You have to file. Yeah.
we'll be filing instead of filing an extensive tax form, we'll have to file an N990 or a 990N, which is apparently four questions on an online. So it's much easier, and we are, being under the umbrella provides a lot of more security for us.
And Pat, the exact term was an unincorporated, I missed that,
Organization,
organization. Okay.
right? I am going to actually to receive nonprofit. If somebody wants to make a nonprofit or donation, there are some steps I have to go through to get the headquarters to allow us to use their 501c. And I can report back at the next meeting on that. I spent time talking to the lawyer today, and there's just some more documents that have to be done, but nothing that seems to be too difficult. So as of now, any donations are not going to be tax or non-taxable.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction, Pat and Jim, and you guys did a great job pulling together a lot of precedent from other chapters. That was super helpful. And if you would ask me, how long do these bylaws need to be? I would have said either 2 pages or 40. I don't know. But having examples from other chapters, I think, gave us all a good sense of the scope of the bylaws. I would not say the draft, which I hope some of you have read, is very extensive. Certainly doesn't cover all things under the sun, but it is a really good framework for a lot of key parts of chapter governance. I can, if you want me to share my screen and sort of just slow scroll through
Sure.
it and talk about some of the big sections, I can. I think it might be worth.
Yeah.
And I also put the bylaws in the chat just in case anybody wanted to download them quickly and didn't have them handy.
Yeah, I'll go over the bylaws draft itself, and then we can talk about some questions, and then we can talk about the process for what's next. It's pretty simple. Dina outlined it in her email, but we will need to decide to adopt this or edit it at the end in the next week. So Article 1 is what we're called. Article 2 is sort of a mission statement. Where are we all hanging out? This is a lot of this language is a mashup of things from other chapters. We all have a lot of the same goals. Article 3 outlines in broad scope what membership is. A lot of this comes straight from headquarters as well, about what membership is, what your what different levels of good standing are, how chapter affiliation works, and as Pat was saying, a clause for actions related to people who are not conducting themselves well.
Can I jump in? We did kind of stray from the other chapters because we included people who are interested in being part of our chapter, who live outside of our area, but still choose our chapter to be primary. And that was because we are going to have some residents that are going to want to move to warmer climates, like myself, or are still going to want to be part of the chapter. So that one we kind of, we had to kind of make that wording work for us.
I think it's also useful because we've got
And Jim,
people in places like Indiana and Ohio who aren't exactly Great Lakes. I know there's been interest even as far as Iowa. Um,
Hmm.
so they don't have, there are some places that are kind of like radio silence. There's no like official chapter for those areas. So I think,
Indiana is um, part of the Great Lakes chapter.
okay. But there's a certain,
Ohio is not. It's I forget what
right. But Ohio, the
Lewis and
Ohio
Clark or something
chapter
like that
has a lot
chapter.
of people that they have in it from Indiana. So official or not, there's a lot of people in Indiana associated with other chapters as well.
Hmm. I'll zoom right along here. The Article 4 sets up an executive committee. It's sort of the formal leadership structure for the chapter. The executive committee includes, see here, 6 individuals who, make some of the high-level decisions and run the processes for maintaining the chapter. Um, Fairly straightforward. Again, heavily cribbed from other bylaws. Article 5 goes into the different officer positions and what they are responsible for, uh, including a chair, a treasurer, secretary, and a program chair and membership chair. And I think Article 6 is a great one because it talks about how people can fill the process for filling these leadership positions, making it very clear, which is great and transparent and leads to fair, good elections. Um, Outlines as well who's eligible to vote in those elections, chapter members in good standing, with our chapter designated as their primary chapter. There is in Articles 7, just very loosely how many times a year we're going to meet, and all the different ways that can happen. Article 8 talks a little bit about dues and finance. The first clause just gives us the right in the future, should we choose, to assess a voluntary chapter due, which I know some chapters do. And then some details about paying. I mean, right now we all pay sort of individually for event fees. Number 9 is about communications, how we should keep in touch with each other. Again, very basic structure for um, keeping people, especially the officer or the secretary or program chair, using commonly established communication channels to keep everybody informed of what's going on. There's a process, Article 10 for amendments, and then we get into when it will be effective if we pass it by a majority vote. So again, we're not going into great details about any of these things. Possibly over the years, these bylaws will be amended. There's a process definitely for amending. Um, and being really clear about all of these things is always a good thing.
Could you please go back to Article 8 about
Yep.
the tax status?
Yep.
I didn't get a chance to quite look at that.
Yep.
Is that what Pat and Jim, was that what you understood the thing to be?
Yeah, basically, it's kind of stating we can be either nonprofit or a profit. It's just allowing us, if we decide to go nonprofit, it gives us the ability to do it.
Okay, this covers that clause is sufficient for that.
I believe so.
Yep.
I mean, anybody else have an opinion?
It looks vague enough to me that it would include all of those
It's
possibilities.
very vague is what I meant.
Well,
I think about it too.
I think it's
I
good.
yeah, I was kind of told that you can get too detailed and then you end up with more problems. So vague isn't all that bad.
Yeah, this is giving us the right to apply for that tax exempt status. And if we don't want to, fine, but we don't benefit from the sort of being under the umbrella in terms of insurance that you were talking about, Pat, from the club.
Right.
Guys, it's Bob here. A more general question, and this looks fine to me, but has the club blessed at a high level all 10 articles here? I mean, we're not doing this separate from them without their kind of looking over our shoulder. That's
No,
what
I-
I'm asking.
It has been written in conjunction with Nancy. I mean, I asked her a lot of questions. I did talk to the lawyer, and that it has been approved. So it's been read over and approved.
So
So
it's been, quote, blessed by headquarters.
yes,
yes.
yes. And
Well, that's comforting for me. Great, thank you.
and it has I was going to say not only we've rehashed some of the issues to make sure it was a good fit, and it does fit the guidelines. There is a whole document of the guidelines you have to follow when producing the bylaws, so we follow those.
Many of the chapters have what they have friends or CDARs who are not members of the club. They're not but they're definitely members of the chapter. I didn't see that we're evidently not going to allow that or not put it in our bylaws as a possibility.
I think we don't address it specifically, but we do say that only active members can vote in voting related matters. I don't think it specifically excludes, unless someone else reads it differently.
I think on number 4 on Article 2, it says to encourage individuals who have demonstrated interest in science and exploration and purpose such interest to pursue such interest when qualified, and to encourage them to be members. So yeah, it does say that we will, educate, we'll bring in people. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, something about, it's under Article 2.
Yeah, I think it was higher up.
Higher up. Something about the purpose is to bring together
1.
explorers and others interested.
Yeah, there we go.
But could they be chapter members or not?
They can be not, they don't have to be chapter members. I mean, it's somewhere in there it says about, I can't read it. Tim, can you
It
find
does
it?
not, yeah, it's sub point 4,
That's what I thought.
where it doesn't specifically say members. We're not,
Individuals.
yeah.
And I would
Membership
say,
of the club is one thing, but membership of the chapter could be another thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think you could be part of the chapter, but you can't vote on chapter
Activities for
Activity.
policy or whatever.
yeah.
I
And
think that
that's
should be addressed in
Can I
the
suggest
next
something?
section.
I'd like to suggest that this issue be taken up in another meeting. These bylaws, to me, are adequate in their current form. There's a way to modify them if we want to, and I think we should table this discussion until the next meeting.
I mean, we're going to have a vote between now and then, so I understand the discussion. But yes, you're absolutely right, Chris. There is, I think it's number 9 that allows amendments. And so if there's something in here that, or something missing, we can definitely have somebody bring that up and have a discussion and have a future vote on that. That's not
I think
prohibited.
this is a good first step, and I think it's worth approving.
just to
I
address
agree.
the membership, the headquarters, it's part of the guidelines that only members can vote. It's even though there's like friends and fellowships and all sorts of
Term
people in
members
that
and
chapter,
student members, only members and
members and all
fellows.
that. It's just, that's part of the guidelines of being part of the part of the Explorers Club.
Well, the only thing I would bring up is somebody comes up to you and says, I don't qualify for the club, but I would like to be affiliated. And it's hard to do that with the headquarters. It's almost impossible. You can be a friend, I guess. But somebody who's, locally who's like, yeah, come on to our meetings. You can come along. I think we shouldn't discourage that myself.
No, so
I-
Jim, why don't you go ahead and propose some language for a future amendment?
Well,
Get
it'd be better to do it right now while we're all together.
No, I don't think so.
Don't
I just,
think so either.
It's a common problem in the Explorers Club. So you can either address it or not address it,
I
you
would just
know.
point out that because we have the bylaws as they are right now, that's the version that people are going to vote on. And there's room for making amendments and things like that in the future, but we're not set up over the next week to, entertain amendments and things like that. If somebody's not happy with the bylaws the way they are, they can always vote no on them. But I think there's room in the bylaws to make amendments. Right now, we're just looking for anything that's,
Is there a process in the bylaws how to amend them?
Yes.
Yes,
Article 10, Article
Right.
10,
Is it like you need
Yep.
a quorum or a majority or what do you
majority.
need? Majority of the people in the chapter, majority of the people at a meeting?
I think it's a majority of the people who cast the vote
Mhm.
is the way it's written. I'm not
So
sure.
that'd be like if you have like 8 people, if you get 5 votes, that's a majority, right? Right.
And
Right.
that's a big part of the reason to approve these bylaws, that I want to send it out electronically after this meeting so that all the members get it. It's very easy to read, it's easy to vote, to try and, you don't build consensus on stuff if you don't get a lot of votes voting for it and, seeing that majority. So I'm trying, especially with these bylaws and the way that we'll send this out after this meeting for consideration, give everybody a week, give everybody a link to either easily vote yes or no on these bylaws from wherever they are.
and
Good
then,
idea.
Tim, did you want to send out an email, once the week is over? Just to let
Yes.
everybody know what the vote was? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Great, Tim.
It's a very easy online voting system. You don't need to log in. Like, you'll have to identify yourself so we can match votes to active members. But couldn't be simpler to vote. And if it's not for some reason, let me know. It's designed to encourage activity.
I've looked at it.
This all
It's
sounds
good.
good to me. Great.
I did have a question, just a clarification, and I can't remember which section of the bylaws it is. But for the election part, just so that we have some clarity on it, I started chapter chair in May 2022, and we did kind of an informal vote in May 2024. May 2026 is coming up. Am I reading it correctly that as chair, I would assemble a group of people who would then do the nominations? And is that a problem if I'm running again, but I'm also choosing the people who are going to take the nominations?
It's a very good and nuanced question. A test to see if the bylaws hold up, right?
Right.
All right. So a nominating committee, let's bring up the section that would address that. Use it as a case study here. Nominating committee consisting of 3 chapter members in good standing who have been members of the Explorers Club shall be appointed by the chair, yes, with approval of the executive committee prior to the end of each election
Okay, so
cycle.
that's kind of the thing. If I chose, you know, just Glenn and a couple of my best buddies and said nominate me, right? That would be, the rest of the executive committee would have to be okay with
Right.
that.
It
Yeah,
provides
I think
check and balance.
that's your check on
That's the
unbridled
check.
power,
Right.
Yeah,
Dina.
there's checks and balances.
The difficulty is getting the other sub chapter, that's the hard part. Getting a program chair, very difficult.
Yes.
We have everybody except the program chair. So I am currently chapter chair and program chair. But every other office is filled now. So, do you want to be program chair?
Me?
Yeah.
My problem is I'm here in Utah.
No, I know. That's fine.
Easy.
You're in
I was just,
Chicago a lot, Jim.
In the
How about
summers, in
that?
the summers.
I'm mostly needling you right now, but that's fine. But yeah, if anybody is interested in that. So my guess is that we'll do elections again in May. A lot of people just sort of volunteered for positions, but if they want to continue, um, and be renominated, unless we want to do something in, I think basically we should probably do everything at once, if that makes sense for the elections. And that sounds like what we would do according to the bylaws, so.
Makes sense. Do it all at once,
Yeah.
Dina.
I'm just suggesting May because that's when we've done them previously, at least the last two cycles, so. But it doesn't have to be May forever.
But it stipulates the positions are 2-year terms.
Okay, so did you want to then have the chair be the one that goes up in May and have everybody who came on late 2025 go up again in 2027?
Sure. Yeah, I think I maybe planning for the future and like just stability. That makes sense. It actually corresponds with our situation now too. That makes sense in the short term in the future for me.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. Just trying to get an idea
Yeah,
so that,
Okay.
you don't really want a whole new set of inexperienced team members. Straddling them is a little bit better.
okay.
So what positions would be up um, in May?
Well, let's do chair and
Chair.
program chair because we don't
Yeah.
have anybody in program chair.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, your storm hit us, Tim. It's out there now.
Yeah,
Thanks
I'm
for sending
getting
it around.
warnings in Ann Arbor too now.
Yeah.
So.
What else?
Are there any other sort of questions or comments about the bylaws? If not, I will resend them following this meeting along with the link to voting. And if you have any problems whatsoever with the voting or anything you see or questions after that, please reach out. Be happy to answer. And I know Pat and Jim would too.
I think there's been a lot of work put into them, and
Definitely.
I'm gonna go vote yes.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect, but I think a lot of,
Looks
they
like a
reflect
good
a lot
start.
of work.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful. Bob can tell you, in 2024, I was butting my head against this over and over. He was trying to help me out. I was on the phone with different lawyers, different people from the headquarters, and we didn't get anywhere. And I'm so impressed that you guys were able to figure it out and get this together. I really appreciate it.
Job well done. Now, not to be Debbie Downer or Bobby Downer, what does it say, Tim, in respect to a quorum, in respect to the total membership? Do we have to have a simple majority, whatever?
There's
And
no
or do we make that up?
quorum. There's no quorum language right now. There's only simple majority.
Great. I think we all ought to agree here, the guys that showed up on this phone call, that a simple majority will suffice to move forward, or we may never get off dead center.
Yeah.
And
I
we
agree.
did adjust the language so it was a majority of voting members or members who actually voted rather than a majority of the entire chapter.
Super. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because we have a lot of members that never participate. Right.
Yep.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
that was
Okay.
a good point that Dina brought up that made a lot of sense. And so that's why the wording in the bottom of the bylaws is that way from the votes cast.
All right, guys. Excellent. I was just playing devil's advocate. I don't want us to be out of the jaws of victory. Defeat us now.
Bylaws are important, but
Mhm.
it ultimately comes down to, my experience, the individuals have to do what they have to do. And
Correct.
thank you, Dina, for taking the bull by the horns, as they say.
I am, like I said, passing all that on to Pat and Jim and Tim,
so bad.
and because like I said, I struggled with it, and I'm just so happy to see other
A good
folks.
organization has, succession, and
Delegation,
it
yes.
should, you should always have somebody to take every job, somebody kind of, in the wings that, yeah, this person could be the president, this one could be the treasurer, so and so, you can't, otherwise it becomes where one person has it forever. And then you
Right,
get issues with that.
exactly.
Great.
All right. Anything else on bylaws? And I just want to say for folks who are not members or fellows, but who are, stalwart attendees, it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate you or value you. It's a rule from up on high, and we have to follow that particular one. But um, we appreciate your input for every other level other than the official votes for sure. So next I have something we basically already covered, finance budget overview and update. So it's kind of different. It's not exactly the bylaws. So maybe you guys could talk a little bit more about the bank account. I think I already talked about the activation incentive program, which is the
Yeah.
name of that. But a little bit of discussion of, you know, maybe just a little bit more about the
Okay,
timing
so
or
I've been working with a woman at our credit union,
Right, yeah.
and she is just, I've gone through, given her different things already. And now the last thing is, well, we had to get the EIN number, and then we had to have the bylaws. So when they're passed, then I'll go in, and then we need a signature card. Dina and
We
Jim
gotta
and
have the
I will have,
minutes of the meeting.
oh, we have to have the minutes in the meeting to prove that the bylaws were passed.
Yep.
And then we had to have the minutes in the meeting that we were nominated and were elected, um, treasurers. And so that's all taken care of. So it's just the minutes for this bylaws and we should be able to open it up. So I will meet with her the following week after the results and the minutes.
And what I will do is I will do the minutes for this meeting probably tonight, assuming I have electricity, but then I can amend those once the time for the election has been passed and send that out again, the amended
Perfect.
version. Okay.
Perfect.
You know what's funny? I've been on academic senate at my university for more than a decade, and I can just feel the Roberts rules flowing through me.
There you go.
Um,
And in respect to the budget, as the old treasurer, we have in a personal bank account of mine, so it was free and no taxes. We have $1,035.15. So Pat and Jim, when you're ready, tell me what form to transfer that money over to you guys.
Okay.
So that plus the roughly 850 that Dina reported, couple of K to get going on. That's great.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's going to be really good. And thank you for that number, Bob. I was going to ask because the chapter report's due by Friday, and I'm going to be flying on Friday, so I'm going to get it done tomorrow or the next day. And I need the total in the kitty for that. So thank you.
That's as of tonight, 2 hours ago. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Next thing I've got on the agenda. Okay. There was interest in the chapter about doing some way of honoring Jim Lovell. And the thing that came up was a tile at the Lafrac Terrace at headquarters. I wrote to headquarters. I was in communication back and forth. That was the only suggestion they had. They did not have an opening for anything else. And I was just checking that again, and the price has gone up to $5,500 for the tile. So obviously, we don't have that in the budget, and it would be irresponsible for us to spend our treasury on that. But I was trying to think other approaches. One thing would be to do something else. Another thing would be to try to do some kind of a fundraiser. And I was thinking about if we did want to do a fundraiser and raise money specifically for the tile, we might get buy-in from people outside the chapter. If we did a GoFundMe that was like get a tile for Jim Lovell at the Explorers Club, and encourage people to donate in multiples of 8 for Apollo 8 or multiples of 13 for Apollo 13. There might be a way to get a little bit of traction for it, but it's kind of a high number to get the tile. So that would be my suggestion if we wanted to go ahead with a tile, would be to try to do a GoFundMe and raise money both within the chapter and external to the chapter. Unlike a Kickstarter, there's not a need to like give gifts or whatever to people who contribute, but there is an expectation of updates, pictures, letting people know how it went, what the progress is, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm definitely willing to entertain other ways to honor him.
Yeah, Dina, did you ask in the old days at the club, in addition to this tile, there used to be bricks that you could contribute to at a much more reasonable value. Those were between 500 and $1,000.
Um,
Can you at some point, you're there on the weekend,
right.
why don't you level with headquarters management in before we embark on a grandiose 5K thing that may be a stretch for us, say, is there something that's more modest? We'd really like to honor Jim, and there used to be this brick program, and see what their answer is before we leap ahead here.
Okay, I can ask
That's
about that.
my humble suggestion.
The brick was a different deal. It wasn't to be immortalized. I've got several of those bricks actually.
Yeah, I have a brick too, Jim, but they're cheaper. Right.
I know, but they don't honor him. There's no Jim Westerman brick anywhere. You know, I have the brick. You know, they were selling off the brick.
Well, but the club could have the brick in the memory. I don't think a tile necessarily is absolutely necessary, is where I'm going. I'm trying to
raise an
come up
issue
with an affordable solution, Jim.
of money.
Would,
To be a viable chapter, you need money. You just do. You
Right.
know, if you're just going to have Zoom calls, you don't need money. But if you're going to do anything of some things just require money. They just do. And that's always been one of the sticking points of the chapter is people don't want to until they feel this chapter is really they're getting a bang for their buck, they just aren't going to give money. You know, it's just the way it is.
I wonder if a possibility to consider, since I just looked him up again, and he was a distinguished member of the Explorers Club, correct, Dina?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was.
To possibly approach the family to make them aware of that tile, that program, and to see if they might be willing to contribute something as a Kickstarter or as a, even like a matching thing. Whereas
Yeah,
the
right.
family, the family member, if they contribute $2,000 or $2,500, if the Explorers Club chapter could contribute the rest, that might help an awful lot to springboard any kind of specific fundraising efforts that we might do to match that if we have the family backing behind it. And I think the family might entertain that. I mean, we've eaten at Lovell's place before when, they had one of his sons run the restaurant. And, so there's still family members, I'm assuming, in the greater Illinois, Chicago area. So that might be a possibility to reach out to them.
what about reaching out to headquarters if they have some type of a fund that they may contribute a portion to, because I can't imagine that they have some flexible fund that they could assist with.
I mean, I talked to, the people copied on it were Lacey Flint, Will Roseman, Brittany Barbizot. And
Wow.
so all
Hmm.
three of
These
them
are
were,
Good covered, yeah.
They didn't,
yeah,
they said nobody gave you any.
they said there's a tile, you can get a tile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
I
you
was like,
very
all
much.
right.
What do
But
these tiles look like? How big are they? Are there pictures of any like samples? Are they engraved
you've
12 by,
seen
you
them
know, one?
on the patio. They're,
Yeah.
I'll see if I can
Mm.
find one.
So are they like rectangular shaped
12 by
tiles?
12. 12 by 12 square.
Oh, they're 12 by 12, one
Yeah.
foot for one,
Yeah.
and they're like cement or marble with an engraving on it or something.
I don't know what it is. It doesn't look
I
like
think
that.
it's a clay ceramic.
Okay.
I'm gonna put a link to the Lafrac tile page at the club in the chat, and then you can click over and take a look. The banner on that page does show what the tiles look like. And it's got Ernest Shackleton as kind of the example.
Yeah.
It would surprise me if he doesn't actually, if Jim Lovell doesn't already have one,
Right.
but
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
get, right.
but
Good point.
it could be something from the club. Another thought that I had is he had a relationship with the Adler Planetarium, right, Glenn? I think Glenn's my astronaut backup expert here. I wondered if there might be something we could do with the Adler, who I haven't contacted, but
We have a contact there. We do know, oh, what's their name that came and spoke at Roger that?
yeah, I can't
The
remember
meteor,
their names either.
I can't remember. There was a couple, their meteorites that landed in the Great Lakes that they
Right.
had a program where they would
It was
gather
back
those or
in,
find those. But
As, as I recall, Bob bought one of those tiles in the name of the club a few years ago, correct, Bob?
Yeah.
Because we had more money then, right? We had the money to do it, evidently.
it was probably cheaper then.
Yeah.
It was always a decent donation, but we had the
Oh.
money. We had the money.
Right.
I don't know, that was before my time.
Well, it'd be interesting to find out, maybe when Dean is there, to see if they're what the ones, if our club chapter one has it there, take a picture of it, and then also if Jim Lovell has one already there, maybe to take a picture of it, just to
Yeah.
see what's there already.
I'm sure they'd be able to tell me.
Our club definitely has one there.
Yeah, I think they have a list of what's where and who's that. They can look it up in the database probably too. But Glenn, isn't it, I mean, is it the Chicago, where is the Apollo 8 capsule?
That's
That's
at the Adler Planetarium.
It is Adler,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Because I know the other one that we went to for Apollo 8 was the Museum of, what's the other one? The one that's
Science and
further.
industry.
Science and
Yeah,
industry,
Science
yeah.
and Industry.
But no, Apollo 8's at the Adler because there's actually a level hall, or he contributed a bunch of his artifacts, his flown but never landed on the moon helmet with the boat anchor. Remember the blue stripe, the Navy
Yeah.
stripe that was on his commander's helmet that he was going to use to walk on the moon? That's there. He donated a lot of artifacts or oversaw the donation or transfer of artifacts for the planetarium, and they have a pretty good exhibit there in honor of the Apollo program in general, and specifically him and his mission, his two missions.
I could reach out in the name of the chapter and say we're interested in having something, in that wing or near his things to honor him in the name of the Explorers Club, like from our chapter, if people would be interested in that. If you prefer something at headquarters, I can definitely try to talk to people in person this weekend, but I don't know.
Sure.
Is there a
Kinda.
feeling?
My opinion is if there is already a tile with his name at the Explorers Club, us going through, and I'll call it a rigorous fundraising to get yet another tile that Yeah, it's good we mention our chapter, but as the former treasurer, if we're gonna go out and raise money, I'd frankly rather see us raise money for the chapter that would give us a foundation to move forward. And as Jim, our outsider who likes to comment, money makes the world go round. And then we would have money to bring in speakers and do things to make the chapter better. I worry, not being Mr. Meany, but being trying to give sensible advice to the chapter that I care very much about. If we raise money for the Lovell thing, then all of a sudden we say, we really need 3, 4, 5 grand in our coffers to move the chapter into the next level. We've already hit people up for money, and it may make that second fundraiser much harder. Maybe it's a mean thing to say, but I think it's pragmatic, and my advice is if we're going to do a fundraiser, let's do it for the chapter and give Jim and Pat some money to work with. End of speech.
I was just going to mention too, there are other things we can do that wouldn't necessarily cost money. So we could have a specific Lovell lecture once a year where we bring somebody in to talk about space and name it that, and advertise it at that, and either do it in person or make it something where people can, register for Zoom if they're interested, and they don't have to be members. They could be, potential members or, potential CERDARS type people. Another thing could be, this would take some money, so maybe not this yet, but scholarship, a modest one that we could give out once a year, to a student who's interested in space stuff. There are other options, I think.
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree. I think a terrace, I mean, it's on the ground, but if you do something that will affect other people, like get more people engaged or help a youth or encourage people, I think that would be more of a tribute.
I think we should look into it more and not, just say, this is what we're going to do, and take a little time to look and make it worthwhile.
it
And,
ultimately comes down to us. How many of us would want to give money to this chapter?
well, Jim, I'd rather give money to the chapter than the Jim Lovell plaque.
It's fine.
But
What we want to give money for anything, it's my use a humble experience. It's hard to
okay,
get money from this chapter.
all
I'll
right,
just give you a little background of the club. Back in the day, used to be more wealthy people were the foundation of the club. And of the old days of this chapter, there was like the guy that ran Polaris up in Minnesota. He was like a member. I don't think he ever went on. I don't know how he ever got to be a member, but you had guys that are multimillionaires in today's world, billionaires, who were members of this club. I mean, who's the honorary president? Bezos, you know, who was another guy, Musk. So if you get people who are willing, because this isn't big money for people with a lot of money, and even a moderate amount of money, but for this chapter, it's always been hard to get $500, $50 even, it's just been hard. So it's just a reality. We can talk all we want. I would give money, but that's me. And what other people do is up to them. But it's just been
Right.
hard for this chapter.
You're right. We don't have, I think on the East Coast, you have a lot more people who have a lot more money in their chapters and all. We're pretty much working people who, I mean, in our case, we're retired teachers. So, we don't have any money, not the millions that some of the big CEOs have, that's for sure, so yeah.
And
I like the idea of doing something that will make an impact.
there's one other thing that some of the newer folks don't realize, and I wish Chris Rusi and Lisa would chime in. When Jim Lovell got his last award at the club, what now, 5 years ago, the Great Lakes chapter was instrumental. We nominated him. Chris and Lisa generated a brilliant video outlining, and Chris wrote Jim's resume, and Jim personally complimented Chris. So we were instrumental, the chapter, in getting him his final national level Explorers Club award. That, I think, meant he was alive, he appreciated it, and it meant a lot more to him at that time. And we did our duty for him as a member of our chapter than right now slapping a plaque up that would cost us $5,000. Chris, do you want to pipe in here, or are you going to be shy on me?
No, my opinion is that so Jim Lovell, one of the things he did later in life was really interface with school children at the elementary school level. And he was often, giving talks and lectures to school children. And I think it might be worthwhile reaching out to those, maybe look up to a web search and find out what those programs were and see if they need funding and raise money for that, in his name, and to carry on what he was doing later in life.
Yeah, good suggestion. Right.
Yeah, I
Well,
like
that was
that.
good to let us know that are new to the club, because we had no idea
Yeah.
what you've done.
I
Jim
know
Lovell never did anything with his chapter, zero. So I invited him some umpty times to come, and too busy. So it's the reality of him with the chapter.
well, yeah, I think he still counts as an exemplary member, and I wouldn't mind attaching, having us do something in his name. I think he's probably the best known member of our chapter by far. I can't think of anybody else. I mean, present company excluded, you guys are all amazing and
Well,
famous in your own
the
way.
reality is he lived in our area. He lived in our geographical boundaries, so therefore he's a member of the chapter. But he never really, the chapter wasn't important to him.
All right. It sounds like there's some good ideas. Um, I think once we get the bank account underway, we're going to be able to be more flexible about things like
Yeah.
fundraising and more thoughtful about it. So that'll be step one, but it's good to have kind of a brainstorming session about different approaches to things. Some things that might cost money, some things that won't, or different ways to invest, things that we could attach his name to, or things that we could do that wouldn't necessarily be connected to him, but could still be fundraisers or ways of giving back to the Great Lakes communities. So I think there's a lot more to be discussed here. This could be something where we continue moving forward to other things. And I can check when I'm at the club this weekend if there are any other options that perhaps they didn't think of when it was just an email. All right. Last thing I have here is we're getting close to the end. ECAD obviously is coming up. Is anybody planning to be in New York in April for the ECAD events?
We're
Pat and I,
going.
Gail and Doug, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, sorry. I say if anybody's looking for a table to sit at, there's plenty of seats available at ours for a price.
I was gonna say, I was waiting for
Are you
that.
going to the
We're
main
not
one?
offering a table. Pardon?
Well, it's sold out for the main one, right? Are you talking about this other one, the?
No,
No, but anybody in this group that is going and not sitting at another table, we'd love to join you or vice
yeah,
versa.
move around a little bit. We've done that in the past.
Oh,
Is anybody else going from this group?
Huh?
I'm
Pat
getting,
and I are.
We're going.
Yeah.
We're going to be sitting with Nancy.
That-
And
We were in the very back row last year, and they
Yeah,
said
right.
Usually,
do
yeah.
a little better for us this year.
I bet.
we're experimenting this year, and we're going to what West Hansen is calling Tech Mid, which is the members' dinner that is happening at the same time, but it's at the Marriott. And he wanted people to sign up for that, and so I did that when those tickets became available. And then when the ECAD ones became available, it was like, we've had a lot going on, and so we're not as comfortable with the expensive tickets this year. And since we already had the Tech Med tickets, that's where we decided that we're going. But I'll be around that whole probably Thursday through Sunday.
You're going to the other things at the chapter
Yes.
chair, and all that good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the chapter
Mhm.
chair meeting, the chapter chair appreciation dinner, the awards, hopefully on Friday morning, the whole kit and caboodle, just not the glass house things. So there's a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Dina, I'd like to suggest next year early on, we do as a chapter, see if people want to get a table, and let's make sure it's not in the last row. And if we get organized early, we all pitch into a table that's reasonable. I think you should still be, and if you are chair, you can suck up to them and get us a good table. And I think it'd be fun for our chapter to sit together.
It would be
And
so rowdy. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Those are
it
the
would be
expensive
fun.
tables, the ones that are in the front.
Yeah,
Are
you're
the
right.
ones
I'm
where
not-
people buy a table
Jim,
for 20
I'm
grand or
not
whatever they
saying
charge now. yeah.
front. I'm saying, Jim, not last. I've been in the front, I've been in the back, I've been in the middle. The middle's fun.
Middle nice.
Used to be up in the balcony when they had it at the Waldorf, you'd be up in the upper balconies up there.
Yeah, right. All right.
Really quick, there is a board election for the Explorers Club. It's going to be late March or early April, looking at the previous years. I don't usually mention it, but I'm going to be on the slate, so just letting you know. And then speaking of me, is how obnoxious is that? I am giving a talk. It was going to be on Monday. I'll tell you the story. So I was supposed to speak on Monday the 16th at the Explorers Club, and I got contacted by Kevin Murphy. Some of you know Kevin. And he was kind of desperate to reach me. And it turns out, and I don't think I'm telling tales out of school, I'll be vague, that Monday, the day that I was supposed to be giving my talk, one of the Dick Wolf productions, one of these sort of, Law and Order, FBI kind of shows, wants to film at the Explorers Club and was willing to pay more than they would get from my talk. So they didn't want to cancel me, they just wanted to change my date. So instead of talking on the Monday the 16th, I'm talking on Saturday the 14th. And they paid for, changes that I had to make for my travel. Although they did not pay for me to go out there in the first place. So, anyway. But if you're interested, you can find information about that. And I'll be talking at 7 Eastern, which I guess is 6 Central on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 14th. And if you're in New York, come see me. So
Isn't that going to be taped or live
it's going
streamed?
to be live streamed onto both Facebook and YouTube, and then they're going to keep it on their YouTube channel.
YouTube, yeah.
But yeah, and to continue to be obnoxious, it's related to my book that's just coming out in May. So
Yeah.
it's
Well
all
done,
these things
Dina.
all at
Yeah.
once. Thank you.
Good.
So
Go, Dina.
it's a little bit a lot all at once. Oh, thank you.
Are you running for the board?
I am running for the
He
board.
is.
Okay,
Yeah,
And I
Great.
found out that I made the slate of 8, so I guess they choose 4 out of the 8, but I should be there.
Got my vote.
yeah,
You,
got our
I,
vote.
they make you do a 1-minute video, and I wandered out. Glenn came with me to Lake Michigan, which was nice and frozen in the background. So it's me all wrapped up with a frozen lake behind me, trying to look as exploration-y as possible. So. All right, other announcements, other things that people want to mention before we wrap things up and try to.
Remember that those of us that never got a certificate, they said that they were
Yes.
supposed to be out in March. So you might just
Oh, they
ask
were,
them.
Oh,
yeah, they were supposed to be out in
They were
February.
going to do February and March, so they should be around, hopefully.
Patrick
Okay.
is the gentleman we've been talking to.
All right. It's going to be weird because I'm going to be there on Saturday and I'm not going to be like the normal business hours. I won't be present.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Good
we'll
luck.
see.
Yeah.
I can nudge him anyway. He's really nice.
Very
Yeah,
nice guy.
very nice guy.
Yeah, he is. So certificates, yes, I know you guys were working on that and I appreciate that too. Other announcements, comments, questions, concerns? Anybody traveling anytime soon? I think there were a couple.
We're going to Boston to the Boston Sea Rovers this weekend. They're the oldest continuous dive club and dive show in the world.
That's cool.
So we'll
Pat's
be
been working
presenting.
on a program yet tonight.
So you guys are.
When you say a certificate, was that you spoke at the club? What's a certificate for?
No,
Membership.
We have never gotten our Explorers Club certificates. They
When we
stopped
joined
printing
the
them
club.
during the pandemic.
Cards.
Membership certificates.
Yeah,
Yes. the
Paper.
membership.
Right.
Yep.
Paper.
exactly.
There's a whole bunch of them a whole bunch of us who never got them.
Golden record is going to be, was that on your agenda?
I wasn't going to mention it, but I can.
Would you mention it?
I'll make Glenn mention it.
Okay, Glenn, please.
Okay.
Oh, you're muted.
Ew.
Unmute, Glenn.
There we go. I was just looking up the Great Lakes shipwrecks gathering. I think is this month. When the Stairs mentioned the thing in Boston, that's coming up, right, Dina? It's usually in March at Hope College where they have talks.
I think so.
Yeah.
But that's not what Gail was asking about.
No. I was just trying to think of what the date was. No, the Golden Road. Yeah, we have a contract with a publisher to produce this book. We being John Lomberg, who was the design director for the original Golden Record, and then of course Dina, and then myself. And right now they are promoting the book at the London Book Fair. Our publisher is based in London, Profile Books. And they're hoping to secure a U.S. publisher during that fair, that big show. It's a big event where that kind of activity happens. So we're crossing our fingers that we'll get a U.S. publisher in addition to the U.K. publisher. But Dina's been working like crazy this week, and I've been trying to keep up with her in writing because we
My
have
spring break.
we have a due date of August 1st to turn the manuscript in, and it's going to be ambitious, but there's 3 of us working on it, and we'll discipline ourselves to do it. But it's going to be great. That we've gotten a lot of support with it, a lot of interest. There was a press release that was in the Bookman. Was it the book? Yeah, it's a newsletter in the
Or
UK.
the bookseller.
Bookseller, that's what it is. That had a really nice call out of the team, the 3 of us for it. So.
And John Lomberg was the original design director, the design director of the Golden Record. So he chose all of the images that were encoded into it, which included things like pictures of why am I blanking on her name? I know it perfectly well. She just passed away. Chimpanzees. Jane Goodall.
Margaret
There we
Mead.
go.
Margaret
No,
Mead.
Jane
Or
Goodall.
Jane
Jane
Goodall.
Goodall, that's it.
Goodall.
Yeah. It was a photograph taken by her mother of Jane Goodall in the wild. It's a really nice photo, and Jane Goodall's mother, I think, wrote a note to John complimenting him about how moved she was that that photo was included in the Golden Record. So,
I know we're running low on time, but could Chad and Connor please tell us who they are? Some faces we haven't seen.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. My name is Chad Lasik. I'm in Elgin, Illinois, and I'm a very active Freemason. And so I've been nodding along as you're talking about bylaws and dues and all those things. I'm very familiar with all those processes, and we have a lot of the same challenges. I think I could be probably pretty useful for you. You guys are sounds like you're doing a few practices that could be improved, to be polite, just for your own well-being. So I know very little about the organization. I thought I would listen in and see what's going on and see if I can add any value. And so I look forward to perhaps another opportunity to meet with you folks and see what you're up to.
Connor,
I guess I should also mention I'm an electrical engineer by trade. I'm a business owner in North Aurora. I'm a beekeeper. I'm an active traveler. Last big adventure was kayaking the Danube from beginning to end in 2008. So I'm looking for a little more adventure in my life.
and Chad, what's your affiliation with the club? I was not necessarily jumping, your name wasn't jumping out at me right away.
Yeah, I spoke with Natalie and she gave me the Zoom link, and here I am.
Okay, so you're checking us out. Got it.
Yep.
All right. And then Connor, you've been with us for a while.
Yeah, I've been with the club as a student member for a couple of years now, so I'm occasionally tagging along in these meetings. I'm a student here at Purdue University studying computer science. I'm actually a junior right now, but I've had the opportunity to work in the aerospace industry with a company doing electric aviation out in Vermont. And then I was most recently actually down in Houston working in a lab at Johnson Space Center, which was a fantastic experience. So I've also been involved with the Texas chapter down there, and I'm actually working with Wes Hansen, who's the current chapter chair there, I believe, on his next expedition to the Northwest Passage, which we're hoping to depart here in early June. So really looking forward to that. We'll be up there for about 3 months, hoping to paddle it in outrigger canoes from the west to the east. So I'll keep you guys updated about that as well.
Sounds like could be a flag expedition, could be qualifying for membership.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
going
we'll
to say
see.
that.
Yeah.
Although student membership is a little bit more affordable, if I remember correctly.
I'll stick around a student membership for as long as I can.
I think that's wise. All right. Anything else to add before we call the evening? I feel like a lot of you haven't said anything, so it's like, hi, Ron, hi, Speak New. I think everybody else has said something. Nope,
They're speechless. They're
Yeah.
speechless.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't want to break their streak. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll call another meeting sometime in May, and you'll get an update from Tim about how that vote went. Vote when you get the link, and we'll let you know how things go.
Yeah, good luck with the ECAD.
Yeah.
Good luck at
And your
talk,
lecture.
too. We'll be
And your
watching.
lecture.
Yeah.
I hope to see a bunch of you next
Yeah.
month.
See you in New York.
All right.
Sounds
All
great.
right, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Right.